Let's talk about the thing you know a lot about, the budget. One of the people I admire most about this was talking to me earlier today, and they said often when there's a budget discussion, Paul Ryan is going to be the smartest man in the room, which means he knows that the budget he put forward is a non-starter. Tell me what you'd have to see happen on the other side. When I say the other side,
Yeah.
I mean the president, because it seems like you two are back and forth on this. What do you have to see, and what would you give up to actually get a deal?
What I think we're trying to what we're trying to demonstrate is I believe that there is a bipartisan consensus to be had, and our budget is trying to reflect that. Our tax reforms are very similar to the Simpson-Bowles tax reforms. Our Medicare reforms are the kinds of Medicare reforms that we've shown bipartisan support for. So the big reforms we're putting in our budget are reforms that some Democrats have historically been in favor of. The problem we have is we have a partisan roadblock in the White House and the Senate that is making it impossible to realize this kind of consensus. We need new leadership in the White House, new leadership in the Senate, and then we need to work on building this consensus in 2013 and preventing a debt crisis.
But the reality is you don't get to choose that. So
we don't get to choose
you may end up
budget
in
reflects what I think is an emerging bipartisan consensus and how best to fix the country's biggest problems.
And arguably, when you look at it from the outside, you're closer than some people would have you think. You and the president are actually closer than everything else in this country that gets decided by Congress. Could you and the president sit in a room like this, or a Starbucks, or a room we provide, and hammer out a budget, notwithstanding all the outside concerns?
I would love to try. The president has given us 4 budgets, and he has never once attempted to do that. I mean, usually you have to get an invitation from the White House to do such a thing. I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to try. When I first put budgets out, maybe I was naive. I thought if I put this budget plan out, then others will put their plans on the table.
Right.
Then we'll start debating each other's plans, and then we'll get to emerging a consensus. The problem is we put our plan out there and nobody followed suit. And now what we found is the president decided not to put out a plan to solve the problem. The Senate hasn't passed a budget in over 1,000 days. They waited for Republicans to offer our solutions, and then they just simply attack it for the election purpose.
But a lot of the things that you have said...
I don't see that kind of leadership from this president. If we were going to get this kind of leadership from this president, we would have gotten it by now.
But notwithstanding the leadership, do you think that you could arrive at a deal? I mean, he is the president, and the Democrats are the Democrats, and you may end up in a Congress where you've got a similar situation.
It doesn't appear to me, based on what the president's rhetoric is these days. It makes it look to me that he's not interested in a compromise. He's interested in a partisan conquest.
But you can hear how others can say that about you, right?
Well, actually, I don't agree with that. We're putting bipartisan solutions in this bill. We're taking ideas from Simpson-Bowles. We're taking ideas from Democrats on how best to save and strengthen Medicare. So I believe that there are Democrats that we can clearly sit down and work with to hammer out compromises. The problem we have is it's not the Democrats that are running the Democratic Party right now. It's not the Democrats that are running the Senate, and it's not the Democrats who are in the White House. But there are Democrats that we know and trust and work with on how to solve these big problems. And what I think we need to do is get new leadership in the White House and in the Senate, and then work with those Democrats who want to work with us on fixing this country's
But ultimately,
problems.
you almost got to deal with this before that. So if you had to choose...
I don't think that's right. I don't think if the president wanted to have a budget agreement, then he would have given us a budget that attempts to solve the problem, and Harry Reid would be passing budgets. Harry Reid has decided.
Who would you most like to be with? If we said we can put you in a room and you guys have 3 days to work it out, who on the other side would you most like to work with? Because I'll try and get it done. I'll try and get you to that person.
I would like to work with President Mitt Romney, and I'd like to work with the Senate that's run by Mitch McConnell.
Can you choose somebody who's in office right now on the Democratic side? I'm asking you, who on the Democratic side do you think has the wherewithal to get this deal done?
To me, it's not about the people or the party. It's about the ideas.
Right.
And what are the best ideas to save and strengthen this country, these problems, Medicare and things like that. Look, I've shown by working with Alice Rivlin and Ron White and Erskine Bowles that Republicans and Democrats can sit down in civil discourse and come up with good compromising ideas. The problem we have is you have a very partisan president who is not interested in that.